Good morning, everyone. My name is Tara Healey, and I want to welcome you to our Thursday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan, and Point 32 Health, which is the parent company of Point 32 Health and Tufts. So it's really nice to be with all of you. I'm not sure how many of you joined on Tuesday and also yesterday, but Tuesday there was a glitch, a little bit of a glitch, in that one of our instructors who is overseas had a problem with the connection. So I really just appreciate everybody hanging in there. And these things happen. But I'm really happy to be here with you today and see that we are up and running. So if you haven't yet opened the chat, which I haven't, and I'm going to do right now, go ahead and open the chat and select everyone. Everyone. Okay. Yeah, so I thought maybe there were a few people that didn't know what happened on Tuesday that might not have joined yesterday. Rebecca Wing, who led Wednesday's practice, let people know, but I also wanted to let folks know about that. And I couldn't. And spent the morning, Heather, wonderful with Suzanne. I love that. She's so present with me and with us during these sessions. Yeah. Well, I know that she would appreciate seeing that we're keeping this community up and going and connected, and that she's a part of us every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday morning. Very much feel her presence. And just as a reminder, Heather went to our YouTube station, Mind the Moment, and you can find all of past recordings. And so it's yeah, don't hesitate to do that too, and just go find Suzanne and sit with her. Yeah. So I just transitioning into, we start these sessions. For anybody that's new, I just want to say a warm welcome, and so happy that you're here. These are pretty much 12 to 14 minutes of guided practice with periods of silence, and and then we leave time at the end for Q&A and sharing, so people, anybody that's come across a book or an app or something that they want to share, we always save time at the end for that. But we kick it off with a question, just as a way to check in with each other. And so as I was thinking about my question, I decided to relate it to something I did last night. So I went to see a talk given by Cole Brower. So for those of you that don't know Cole, she in March circumnavigated the globe in a sailboat. It was a race. So she's basically the first American woman to sail around the world unassisted and came in second place. She was in that field. She was the only woman. And I think a French sailor came in first, and then Cole came in second. And I started following her on Instagram. I don't know if anybody on the call is familiar with her, but her Instagram just started increasing exponentially as people started hearing about what she was doing, and they were really fun. So you could go back and take a look, but I just was in awe of her. And she's based out of Newport, Rhode Island. So she gave a talk last night at Roger Williams University, and then tonight she's in Newport giving 2 back-to-back talks because tickets sold out. But anyway, here's my point. Somebody last night said, "How have you changed as a person? Like, what impact did this have on your life?" And her answer was so interesting. While she didn't ever say the word mindfulness, and I don't know if she knows what it is, but she said, she thought for a minute and she said, the thing that was most noticeable to me was, and I'm going to paraphrase a bit here, but how present she was. So she was gone for, I think, 4 months, but how there was no past or future, that she was alone on this boat, circumnavigating the globe, and had to be completely present with what was going on around her most of the time. And how she wound up settling into that, and that it's impacted her now because she said, I don't push too much out into the future or lean into the past, but the capacity to stay present has really shifted her life in an incredibly positive way. So my question is related, which is, as practitioners of mindfulness, what have you noticed about how it has benefited your life? So what is even just one thing, because this practice is subtle, and I think it can be, even, in my early years of practice, it's like the benefits aren't immediately apparent, so you have to have some trust that there might be something to it, and then the willingness to practice in a regular kind of way, and then you start to see some things in your life change. So I'm curious, as all of you think about your practice, even if you're fairly new to it, but what are some things that you're like, you know, I had a little bit more emotional space with that person who triggers me. I wasn't so reactive, or, whatever. Sharpening focus. I can reach for the calm. It's there more often, not rushing, less judgmental, navigating stormy seas. Yes. Yeah. It is a very, very subtle practice. And that's why I always feel like the trust that there might be something to it, and then the willingness to practice is so important. More compassionate. Yeah. Um, it's one of the things that I started to see that I think tie in with a lot of what all of you are saying, is that I started to realize that I was learning about not only the nature of my own mind, but I was learning about the nature of minds. So the content might have been different from my neighbors, but it really broadened my sense of compassion for humanity, that this is what minds do. This is what minds do. And the more we can, through these practices, familiarize ourselves with our minds, and also with impermanence, with the changing nature of everything, every thought, every emotion, every body sensation has an arising, it does its thing, and then it moves. And we can see that as we practice. Yeah, pause before reacting. Don't rush. There is something really beneficial about stopping rushing, just like for the nervous system. Mental default, grateful, appreciate, notice my feelings, pay attention to more details. Yeah, yeah, all of it. I was listening to an interview by Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine on Seinfeld, and she has this podcast called Wiser Than Me. And she was interviewing Patti Smith, who was like a rocker, like I think still is. But Patti Smith talked about like how in her later years, and maybe even if this was earlier for her too, but she gives gratitude to almost everything in her life, even to funny things. Like she's grateful she has a toothbrush to brush her teeth. So it's like the inclining of the mind in this way. And that's not to say not to pay attention to, things that are challenging or difficult. It's all included, but cultivating gratitude for the little things is a really, it's an easy thing to do. So with that, let's go ahead and move into our practice this morning. And you can stay seated or you could stand. And I always take 2 deep breaths as a way to settle in, and just settle any surface tension from the activity you've had so far this morning, assuming you probably have had some activity. Your eyes open or closed really doesn't matter. Just do what feels most comfortable. And if you keep them open, sometimes I say just gaze downward a little bit to help remove peripheral distraction. So go ahead and let's situate yourself in a posture, seated, standing, lying down. That feels good, that feels comfortable. And go ahead and take 2 deep breaths. And surrender your weight into the support of the surface. So whether it's the ground or a chair, seeing if you can just let your body weight let go and surrender and feel the support of the earth, yet maintain a spine that is upright and engaged. So you're holding your body in a way that's not too loose and not too tight. And just check in. What sensations are making themselves known to you? So that could be all the points of contact, either soles of feet or along the back of the body. What do those touch points actually feel like from the inside? Perhaps noticing the clothes touching the skin, something that's easy to miss. What other physical sensations are making themselves known? And let's go ahead and do a swift body scan starting at the top of the head. And as we go through the different regions of the body, you may feel sensation, there may be lack of sensation, which is something to note. Starting at the very top of the head and moving down along the sides of the head and the back of the head, and coming around to the face, and softening the muscles of the face to the degree that you can, releasing the jaw, resting the tongue, moving awareness down the neck and shoulders, sweeping down the upper arms, forearms, and hands, and coming around to the torso. Just noticing how things are, what sensations are present or not. Continuing to sweep down over the hips and thighs, the knees, the lower legs, and the feet. Releasing that, bringing awareness for a moment to whole body. And any particular areas that are calling for your attention. You can go ahead and isolate that particular area. Very similar to what Dr. Jha calls the flashlight, highlighting one particular spot or area of the body, allowing a softening and a receptivity to whatever is happening. And let's go ahead and find, for the remainder of the practice, we're going to narrow our focus of attention if that feels good. If not, you can keep a wide open lens of attention. But let's find an anchor for the wandering mind, knowing that the mind will drift in and out of thought. As soon as you notice the thought, that's a really good moment because you are awake and aware and you know where your attention is. So Breath sensation anywhere in the body you notice the sensations of the inhalation and the exhalation would be one option. Rise and fall of the belly, chest, or air entering and leaving the nostrils. You could also let your attention rest on the overall structure and movement of the body as you breathe in and out, tracking those sensations in a broader way, whole body awareness. So either a narrow focus of breath or a wider lens of breath. And alternatively, you could also take your palm of your hands and rest them on the top of your thighs or on a table in front. And the feeling of that point of contact would be what you return to. Each time the mind wanders, which it will a million times, not a problem. You're doing it correctly. Strengthening that muscle of focus and concentration. So I'll be quiet as you look for your anchor. And noticing where your mind is and gently releasing the memory or the planning, soft mental note thinking. Allow the body to soften. There's very often a little subtle bodily contraction when thoughts going on that tends to be unnoticed. So thinking, softening, and then just simply returning. And as we bring this meditation to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may whatever good comes of our practice be for the benefit of all beings. And if your eyes were closed or if they were open but gazed down, taking a moment to just reorient your surroundings, do a little bit of a stretch, and just reconnecting with the room that you're in. Reading Patti Smith's writing feels like a meditation practice. She writes in a calming way. Yeah, she is a pretty remarkable human. And Loretta not getting as whipped up about things. Yeah. And paying more attention to detail. Mental default changed. Yeah, I love seeing all of how everybody answered these questions. It's worth reflecting every once in a while, just worth reflecting on. It could be a day or even a past week, and noticing as things have come up, because the practice in a very large way, is how we are relating to everything. And developing more capacity to relate to whatever's occurring in a way that is in alignment with how we want to be on a day-to-day basis. So I'll open it up. Anybody that wants to either ask a question or you even share how this practice felt this morning, anything you might have noticed about the practice for you this morning. Anything that you've come across that you want to share. That could be a book, an app, music, anything that nice to sit with all of you. I feel the same. Yeah. It is so, I agree, Julia, like these morning sessions, 3 days a week to be with all of you feels so valuable. I want to go back to Patti Smith for a minute, because often when I think of her singing at a very prestigious event. I don't know if anybody caught this. She was singing at a prestigious event with like royalty from different countries. And she was singing A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. And she got so nervous, she forgot the words and had to actually pause kind of halfway through the song. And her backup guitar player and other, were noticing, and they kept strumming and very quietly as she was composing herself. And then she said, I am so nervous that I have forgotten my place and I need to start over. So she did. And the audience was so appreciative of the vulnerability that she shared. It panned to the audience as she was saying that. And I think one of the things that mindfulness practice helps us with, and I wonder if she's a practitioner, but just helps us with our vulnerability and our shared humanity, and not trying to be something that we're not, like look stronger or look whatever. Yes, that's Vanessa, someone like her. I saw her speak at a local, and she had moments where she would stumble, but it felt most real. And she talked about that too with in the interview with Wiser Than Me, which is actually I've been enjoying that podcast a lot. The Blinkist book, The Mindful Body, How Your Mind Can Help Control. Nice. Yeah. So there is something, I think about our vulnerability that mindfulness just helps us show that more. Like it's nothing to be like hide away, that it amplifies our shared humanity, that we are all vulnerable. We are all, yeah, it seems silly, but does anyone find it difficult to focus on breathing during your practice when you have spring allergies? That does not sound funny at all, which is why I often give another option. I typically don't have allergies, but I have found myself this spring sneezing a lot. So I guess I've got them to a degree, but that's why, in this practice, you have other options. Like you could use sound if there's a consistent sound or somewhat consistent sound. You could just open up into what's called choiceless awareness. It's considered to be a more advanced practice, but I actually don't think of it that way, which is you're letting go of a narrow focus, what Dr. Jha would call, which, by the way, I'd love to know if any of you were on the session yesterday with Dr. Jha and Jess Morey and Kel Juilliard. But I think the open awareness is just that you are staying present with everything. So noticing thoughts, noticing body sensations, aware of sound, your object is what's called objectless awareness. So it's just the whole plethora of what might be actually happening. But you could use your palms against your thighs. So, and if you're sick or have a cold or allergies, breath is often not as accessible and easy. But otherwise, know that you have options. It doesn't really matter what you choose. What matters is the quality of awareness you can bring to whatever it is you're choosing. So we're at 9 o'clock, everybody. Thank you for joining. Again, just a pleasure to be with everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday. I'm not sure offhand who the Tuesday leader is, but I'm sure it'll be great. Okay. Bye, everybody.